Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam
wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
All right. Welcome guys with me as a moderator. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rasul as a moderator for today of your presentation about your whole paper in seminar on ELT. So without any hesitation, I will call the first group that will present about the paper from group 9, Alifa. For Alifa, time is yours. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, moderator, for giving me. All right. Okay, hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ali Faktakiani. With my friends, I officially kami menyusun this paper with my friend, that is Lailatul Hasana. And then our title of the paper is The Student's Perception on the Use of Game-Based Learning. Next slide, please. All right. I will explain about the background of this paper. The first one is motivation is key in student success, especially in second language acquisition. Motivation is one of the most important factors that influence how well students perform in school. This is especially true in second language acquisition, where learners need strong motivation to practice, stay engaged, and reach language proficiency. And then the second point is traditional methods, lectures, textbooks often fail to engage students. This is unfortunately, many traditional methods like lectures or using textbooks don't always keep students' interest. These methods can feel boring or disconnected from real life, which makes students less motivated to learn. And then the third one is game-based learning brings fun, challenge, and interactivity into learning. Game-based learning offers a more engaging alternative. It adds fun challenges and interaction to the learning process, which helps students enjoy the experience and stay focused. And then the fourth one is game-based learning promotes autonomy, active participations, and digital relevance. Besides being fun, game-based learning helps students take control of their learning. It encourages them to be active, set goals, and reflect. Since most students are already familiar with digital tools, game-based learning fits well with their habits. And then the last one is this study explores how game-based learning puts student motivation in English learning. It is the first focus of this study is to understand how game-based learning actually increase student motivation when learning English, and then challenges faced by teachers using game-based learning. For example, infrastructure, goal alignment. Focus is to explore the challenges that teachers face in using game-based learning, like needing proper technology or making sure the games still match the learning goals. And then the last one is students' perception of game-based learning as a learning method. Lastly, this study will examine how students themselves feel about learning through games, because their perspectives are important to help educators improve the learning environment. Next slide, please. All right, it is our key question of this paper. The first one, what are the students' perception of how game-based learning influence their motivation to learn? And then what are the students' perception of the effectiveness of game-based learning in enhancing their learning experiences? And then the last one is, what are the students' perception of the challenges and limitations associated with the use of game-based learning in education? Next slide, please. All right, this is our research objectives: to explore students' perception of how game-based learning influence their motivation to learn, and then to investigate students' perception of the effectiveness of game-based learning in enhancing their learning experiences. And then the last one is to identify students' perception of the challenges and limitations associated with the use of game-based learning in education. Next slide, please. All right. this is our literature review. The first one is about a definition of learning motivation. Learning motivation is a key psychological factor that influence students' engagement, effort, and academic success. It includes both intrinsic motivation, driven by personal interest, and extrinsic motivation, driven by external rewards like grades or praise. In the context of game-based learning, motivation plays a crucial role as games incorporate challenges, feedback, and rewards that increase students' focus, enjoyment, and knowledge retention. By leveraging motivation, game-based learning transform learning into an active, engaging, and meaningful experience. Next slide, please. All right, it is an overview of game-based learning. And overview of game-based learning. Game-based learning is a teaching method that integrates game elements like challenge, feedback, and interactivity into educational content to improve motivation, engagement, and learning outcomes. It's according to Pransky 2001, it transforms passive learning into active and meaningful experiences. Next slide, please. This is a characteristic of game-based learning. The first one is combines fun with academic goals. Game-based learning makes learning enjoyable by blending educational material with fun activities, so students don't feel like they are just studying. They're having a meaningful experience while learning. And then the second is provides immediate feedback. Students can see their results instantly, helping them understand what they did right or wrong and encouraging self-correction and improvement on the spot. And then the third one is encourage problem solving and decision making. Instead of memorizing, students must think critically, make decisions, and solve challenge skills that are useful in real life. And then the fourth one is a balanced difficulty to maintain motivation and flow. Good educational games are not too easy or too hard. This balance keeps students' interest and focus for a longer time, a state known as flow. And then the last one is promote student autonomy and engagement. Game-based learning encourages learners to take charge of their progress. They set goals, try again after failure, and stay engaged because they feel more in control. Next slide, please. All right, these types of educational games, the first one is drill and practice. And drill and practice, these games are great for reviewing lessons or memorizing facts in a fun way. They turn repetition into something exciting with scores, timers, and friendly competition. And then the second is simulation games. For example, Minecraft Education Edition. This game creates virtual world where students can explore, build, and learn by doing. They often include collaboration, creativity, and communication. And then the last one is problem-solving games. For example, Code Combat. These games involve puzzles, logic, or coding challenges that train students to think critically and plan strategies, especially in subjects like math or computer science. Next slide, please. All right, this is self-determination theory by Ryan and Deci 2000. Motivation increases when three basic needs are met: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Game-based learning supports all three. The first one is autonomy. Game-based learning allows students to make choice, explore different paths, and take control of their learning. This sense of autonomy increases their intrinsic motivation and ownership of the learning process. When students feel in charge, they are more likely to stay engaged and commit. The second one is competence. Games offer levels or increasing difficulty, clear goals, and immediate feedback. These elements help students feel successful as they progress, as they experience small wins and track their own improvement. Their confidence grows, making them more resilient in facing academic challenges. The last one is relatedness. Many games encourage teamwork and collaboration. It is when students play together or work toward common goals, they feel more connected to their peers. This sense of belonging enhances emotional engagement and social motivation, making the learning experience more meaningful. Next slide, please. It is a ARCS model. It is according to Keller 1987. Motivation arises when students' attention, relevance, confidence, and satisfaction are support. The first one is attention. Attention captures students' interest through colorful graphic stories, surprise, and interactive elements. And then the second one is relevance. Relevance, it is reflect real life problems or tasks that students care about. This helps them see how school content is useful outside the classroom. And then the third one is confidence. The confidence is a right level of challenge with immediate feedback and visible progress like levels or badges. This helps students feel capable and encourage them to keep going. With each success, their confidence grows, reducing fear of failure and increasing independence. And then the last one is satisfaction. In satisfaction, achieving goals in a game gives students a sense of accomplishment. Enjoyable gameplay, rewards, and recognition make learning feel good. When students associate school with fun and success, they are more likely to stay motivated and return to the learning activity. Next slide, please. This is our previous study. The first one is Hamari et al. 2014. It is gamification in digital learning. It found that using elements like badge, points, and leaderboards increase motivation and task completion. The second one is Liu and Chu. It is decision test mobile games in learning English vocabulary. Students who learn through games remember more words and enjoy the process more than those using memorization. And then the last one is Su and Cheng. It is look at how game-based lesson influence classroom behavior. Results show students were more engaged, persistent, and enthusiastic. Next slide, please. All right, it is our research methodology. Our research methodology is using qualitative approach. We use a qualitative approach to gain a deep understanding of students' personal perception of game-based learning. And then our participants and sampling, it is English education students from the 2022 until 2024. They were chosen because they have direct experience with game-based learning in their courses. And then our data collection is a distributed structure open-ended questionnaire. The questions encourage students to share thoughts about how game-based learning affects their motivation, what they find helpful or challenging, and how it compares to traditional learning. And then our data analysis is using thematic analysis identifies key patterns in student response. Next slide, please. All right, this is our findings and discussion. The first one is student perception of game-based learning. The first one is most students perceive game-based learning as engaging and enjoyable. It is according to Pransky 2001. It forces autonomy through choices and immediate feedback, rewards, and challenges create intrinsic motivation loops. According to G 2003, social interaction in games supports cognitive development. According to Vygotsky 1978. And then this is a student's response. They said, I feel more excited to join the class when we play games. It doesn't feel boring like usual. I like that I can answer and know if I'm right or wrong directly. Students enjoy the game-based environment because it breaks classroom monotony. According to Pransky, games introduce a sense of play and energy that engage students more fully. And then students benefit from immediate correction, allowing them to adjust and try again without waiting for teacher input. This boosts their understanding, promotes independent learning, and builds a stronger connection with the material. Next slide, please. This is impact of game-based learning on motivation. Game-based learning increase motivation through challenge, control, and curiosity. Mellon and Lepper 2021. turns passive learning into immersive decision-driven experiences, and then progression systems and achievement and enhance drive to success. It is according to the Tarding et al. 2011, the students' confidence through mastery base level. And then their response is, the game made me want to get higher scores, so I studied more. And then even if I'm wrong, I want to try again until I get it right. It is students by giving them clear goals and measurable progress through point or scores. These competitive features spark the desire to perform better and maintain focus toward the lessons. And then in game-based learning settings, students are not afraid of making errors because mistakes are part of the process. Next slide, please. All right. It is factors affecting game-based learning effectiveness. Learning is maximized when challenge match ability. It is according to Keeley 2005, and then real-world relevance boosts engagement and application. And teacher facilitation is vital for meaningful game-based interaction. It is according to Dave Freitas and Oliver 2006. And then curriculum integration helps focus game-based learning toward educational goals. And then their response is, if the game is hard or I don't understand what to do, I just follow without learning. And then when the teacher explains the game and what we learn, I understand better. It means that games that are too difficult or like clarity, it is to be effective, games must align with students' ability levels and the lesson's objectives. A well-balanced challenge keeps students engaged and learning actively. And then teacher guidance is critical in helping students understand the purpose of the game. When teachers give clear explanation before and after gameplay, students are more likely to connect the game with the lessons. Next slide, please. All right, it is the last one. Our findings and discussion. It is about challenge of game-based learning. The response of this is, sometimes I forget what the lesson is because I just want to win the game. And they say, sometimes I can't join the game because my phone is lagging or I don't have enough data. Of course, in this session, when students are overly focused on winning, the main lesson can be lost. Teacher must ensure that games stay aligned with the learning objectiveness to keep students on track. Game-based learning should enhance, not replace, the purpose of the lessons. And then not all students have equal access to devices or internet, which creates a barrier to fair participation. This issue affects student confidence and engagement. Educators must plan for inclusivity when using digital tools. Next slide, please. Oh, it is our conclusion of this paper. Game-based learning significantly boosts students' motivation and engagement, and then well-designed games and proper teacher guidance are crucial. And then the last one is challenges include digital access and overwhelm crisis and entertainment. Next slide, please. And then teachers should align games with learning goals. It is our recommendations for teachers. And then schools should provide tools and training for teachers. And in future research, long-term impact game types individual differences. Next slide, please. All right, maybe that's all from me. If you have a question, please raise your hand. I return back to the moderator. Thank you.
So there will be question and answer after all the group presentation. Okay, so thank you for group 9 about your presentation, about your whole paper, about your seminar. So the next group that will be present about the paper is from group 10. For group 10, the presenter, I'll give you time to explain and also present. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to present our research for the title is The Student Perceptions of Learning Platforms at Universitas Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa. Next slide please. This research focuses on how students view and experience of the online learning platform during their studies. For recent years, particularly since COVID-19 pandemic, the use of online learning platform has significantly increased in higher education. This shift has raised many questions regarding how students adapt, what challenges they face, and how effective the online learning actually is in helping them to achieve academic success. So, next slide, please. The background of this research is online learning became as an essential during for the pandemic, enabling teaching and learning to continue even when face-to-face meetings were not possible. Many platforms such as Google Classroom, WhatsApp, Microsoft were used extensively by lecturers to deliver materials, conduct a discussion, or assessments for a student. Although online learning provide flexibility and safety, it is also brought many new challenges, required adjustment for both the student and the teachers. From this analysis, we were interested in exploring how the students at Universitas Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa actually perceive these platforms. Do they feel these platforms support their learning? Are they comfortable and motivated when using them? What kind of the problem do they encounter? So next slide, please. To answer these questions, we formulated the research questions, how the student perceive, what the key factors that contribute, what the major challenges that affect the students, and how does student engagement vary across different types. So next slide, please. To answer the questions, we formulated the research problems. The research objective. So the first is to analyze the student perceptions. Number two, to identify the key factors. Number three, to examine the effectiveness of different online learning. And then the lastly, to explore the challenges what student face by. So next slide, please. So in this methodology, we use qualitative method. The research data were collected through interviews with several students from different classes who experience online learning. We use open questions that the student could freely express their thoughts, opinions, and feeling about used learning platforms. We believe that the qualitative methods allow us to capture very deep insight and real experiences, which not may be fully represents in numerical or surface-based data. Next slide, please. For the result is our interview and data analysis. We found several key that represent how students perceive the online learning platforms. The first one is the positive perceptions. Many students state that online learning platforms are convenient and flexible, that they can study from anywhere else without needing to travel to campuses. This may help them to survive and save time and money. And for some students, a lot of felt more comfortable because of they could access learning materials anytime, anywhere, and record lectures and manage their schedule for more independently. For example, like one student mentioned that using Google Classroom helped them to organize the assignment better, and while the Zoom application to screen sharing about the feature during lectures. So next slide, please. So in this discussion, student expectation and suggestion for improving online learning. Most students hope that lecturers and students will be more interactive and creative to delivering the materials online. They also suggest combining synchronous and asynchronous methods to give the student flexibility. Some recommend providing technical support or internet subsites to help those who struggle with the access of the internet. For the important part is student wish for the better communication and feedback from the lecturers to make to make we feel comfortable as a student and more connected and supported. Next slide, please. So this study is provide a valuable insight into how much student perception online learning platforms at Universitas Sultan Agung Tirtayasa. These perceptions highlighted importance of balancing technology with human-centered teaching strategy as we move forward in a more digitally connected world. Understanding the student voices will be essential to shaping more effectiveness, inclusivity, and engaging online learning platforms. So maybe that's all for me. Any question, please?
Maybe the Q&A session will be in the end of the presentation of all the presentation. So you can close it.
Okay, thank you so much for listening and watching. I'll return back to moderator.
So yeah, thank you so much for Group 10 for explaining about your whole paper, about your seminar, about the final exam, this final examination. So right now we will jump into Group 11. For Group 11, time is for your presentation, for your presenter. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good night, everyone. Honorable Mr. Safrizal, Professor Safrizal, MPD, SPD, SPD, MPD. Um, I would like to present our our um, our research that the title is analyzing the impact of AI translation tools on English language proficiency. The member is me dan wakil member yang Elsa Rahmadania. Okay, so this is the background. The increasing integration of artificial intelligence or AI tools in language education has significantly reshaped how English language learners access, process, and practice language. Popular platforms such as Google Translate, ChatGPT, and DeepL have become everyday aids for students, offering instant translation, word suggestion, and grammar corrections. While these tools enhance confidence and provide valuable support for reading and writing tasks, there is growing concerns among educators and linguists about their potential to foster dependency and diminish learners' critical engagement with language, specifically excessive reliance diminish learners' critical engagement with language. Um, so, specifically, excessive reliance on AI translation may hinder the development of essential skills such as grammatical accuracy, syntactic awareness, and independent language productions. This study seeks to explore the dual nature of AI translation tools, whether they function as facilitator of English language learning or as obstacles that impede deeper language acquisition. The research objectives and question is so this study aims to investigate the impact of AI translation tools on English language proficiency among university students with a particular focus on vocabulary acquisition and grammatical accuracy. As AI tools becomes more accessible and widely used in academic settings, it is important to understand how they influence learners' language and development. Both positively and negatively. The research is guided by three main questions. The first thing is how do AI translation tools influence students' vocabulary growth and reading comprehensions? And the second, to what extent does frequent use of these tools affect learners' grammatical accuracy and output performance? And the last one, or the third one, is what teaching strategies can be implemented to ensure that AI tools are integrated into English language learning in a pedagogy, 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 pedagogical, pedagogically effective way. So let's move to the conceptual foundations. The language proficiency. So the language proficiency refers to the learner's ability to use language accurately and appropriately across four key domains: grammar, vocabulary, fluency, and pragmatics in both receptive and productive skills. It's formed Bahman and Balper 2010, Channel and Swinner 1990. And translation tools, AI translation tools like Google Translate, DeepL, and ChatGPT use neural machine translation to provide instant data-driven language assistance. They are useful for input-based learning, but may hinder grammatical development if overused. It's from Wood and the partner, Forensics and Smith, 28, Tsai, and 2019. The theoretical frameworks for the research is from the Pearson's input hypothesis. The language is acquired through exposure to comprehensive input slightly above the learner's current level, A+1. And regards his sociocultural theory, the learnings occurs through mediate tools within the zone of proximal development, ZPD. The methodology, we move to the methodology that the research design is a quantitative or the non-experimental Teresa Mujita, and the age is 18 to 25, certified by CFR levels A to C1, inclusion regular AI tools resource of less 4 times a week. And data analysis is descriptive and specific, mean is the frequency and inferential where sample test or correlation analysis. And the instruments we use the surface 25 item like a scale questionnaire on AI tools usage and perceptions. The test is from the vocabulary science test and national ambigular. It's from the Victoria University of Wellington, Herangawaka, and the Cambridge diagnostic grammar test, the English language assessment from the Cambridge website. The participant demographics is the general profile is total participant is 40 undergraduate students of Jakarta, age range 18 to 25 years, I mean 20.7. The gender 28 female, 70%. 70% female, 12 male, the 30% is male. And AI tool usage behavior is most used tools like the Google Translate 90%, ChatGPT 45%, and DeepL 18%. And the second is average usage is 5.3 times per week, and the third is common purposes is vocabulary, local printing supports, and writing assistance. And this is the findings of the vocabulary test results. And the variable mean vocabulary score is 623, post plus the pre-test score, and the post-test score is 748, difference 125, and significance p or the value is less than 0.05, which indicates the resource is statistically significant, and the standard deviation SD is 71, and for the pretest and post-test 64. The numbers of participants 40 and 40, and the test instrument is national vocabulary size segment, and then the post-test is the same instrument for like the national vocabulary size test. And the interpretation of this findings, improvement suggests effective vocabulary acquisition through AI tools. Learners use AI like Google Translate ChatGPT to look up unknown words, repeated exposure, and contextual reinforcement, spotted long-term retention, and aligns with Crescent's input hypothesis and Smith's 28 theory on incidental learnings. And the other findings of vocabulary test resources is the test and post-test learning behaviors observed. First one, they're using AI for reading comprehensions and essay writing, and second, exploring synonyms and usage examples, and the third one, the last one, is directed vocabulary expansions. And the findings for the grammar proficiency or the grammar pretest and grammar post-test is less the grammar test scores before and after AI tool usage. The interpretations that the findings of this is they indicate limited grammatical development through AI tools. The second, learners often copied AI or generated sentences without analyzing structures. And the last one, there is engagement with from focus practice. So it's less through internalization. internalizations. And the theoretical insights for this the support sequence of output hypothesis like grammar requires active productions, the writing and speaking, and passive use of AI may bypass necessary cognitive processes for grammar learning. And the CAFR this vocabulary improvement, the observation of this all proficiency levels show vocabulary gains, and the highest relative improvement is B2 learners plus 13.4 points, and the last one, the third for the observations is a consistent word trend. AI tools support vocabulary growth regardless of level. And the interpretation of this is the first one, the AI tools provide comprehensible input useful across levels, like from the class in 1994, 1995. The second one, the beginners A2 to B1 gain exposure to common vocabulary, and the third one, the advanced learners B2 to C1 refine higher level words and lexical range, and the last one of the fourth one is it suggests that AI tools function as effective cross-coding across proficiency bands. Okay, so this is the discussion of this of our resources. So the study shows that AI translation tools help students improve their vocabulary because they often see new words while reading or writing with AI support. This helps them remember words better that over time. However, grammar skills did not improve. In fact, they slightly decreased. Many students just copied AI generated sentences without thinking about grammar rules. This means that while AI is useful for understanding and learning new words, it does not help much with learning how to build correct sentences. So to improve grammar, students still need to practice writing and speaking on their own. And the conclusion of this research is that the AI translation tools can support vocabulary growth, but may not improve grammar if used passively. To get full benefits, learners should use AI critically and combine it with teacher guidance and output based tasks. AI is a helpful tool, but it should not replace real language practice. So I think that's the, the explanation of our research. So if you have any question, please.
I think that's enough for your presentation. You can close it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your attention. I return to moderator. Good night and assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So now we are jump into the last presentation about the whole paper about the seminar about the paper. So the last group that will be present is from group 11. So for group 11, I miss your presence. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, guys. Wait. So thank you, moderator, for explaining for giving me opportunity to speak. So I will explaining about our whole paper about the perception on EFL students motivation in their engagement in blended learning. So there are two members of our group. They are Arya Merdiansa and also me, Rias Rusid. So next slide, please. So we are get in chapter one about the introduction. So wait a minute, where yes. So introduction. The first one is about the background of the study. So recent advancement in technology and the emergence of flexible higher education. The COVID-19 epidemic expedited the worldwide transition to online and mixed learning formats and compelling institutions to reevaluate conventional pedagogical approaches, blended learning, which combines in-person classroom instruction with online learning elements, has gained prominence in English language education due to its flexibility, accessibility, and capacity to improve student learning experiences. In the realm of English language acquisition, motivation, and engagement are critical factors that directly affect student involvement, perseverance, and language learning results. Blended learning also provides several avenues for involvement via digital tools, interactive media, and individualized pace. Nonetheless, it poses issues with student concentration, self-discipline, and also the caliber of learning is enhanced, especially in asynchronous settings. So we can move to the second point. So there are identification of the problem. So the identification of problem, blended learning continues to gain traction in English language instruction due to its flexibility and ability to combine in-person and online modalities. However, several problems have emerged regarding its impact on student motivation and engagement, particularly in EFL settings. Firstly, students often report decreased motivation during asynchronous or online session compared to face learning. This pattern has been noted in recent studies where a lack of immediate interaction and feedback led to reduced attention, participation, and also learning persistence. The third one is about limitation of the study. The study is confined to 25 undergraduate students from the 2022 cohort of the English Education Department at Universitas Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa. It adapts qualitative techniques, semi-structured interviews, and focus completely on the student perspective. Therefore, the result may not be generalizable to other departments or institutions and do not incorporate feedback from lectures or other stakeholders. So, and the fourth point is about the about the research question. To address the identified problems, this study focused on the following research question. The first one is how the student perceive their motivation in blended English language learning. The second one, what factors influence student engagement in blended English language learning? The third one is how do the structure, tools, and delivery of blended learning impact student learning behaviors? And the last one is about what challenges and benefit do student experience in blended English language environment. And and the fifth one is about the objective of the study. This study aims to explore the multifaceted dynamics of student motivation and engagement within blended English language learning environment. To begin with, it investigates how students perceive and experience motivation, both intrinsic and extrinsic, when engaged in a mix of face-to-face and online instruction. And the last one is the significance of the study. This study is significant in three main aspects: theoretical, practical, and also institutional. Theoretically, the study contributes to the contemporary discourse on student motivation and engagement in blended learning environment, particularly the EFL, English as a foreign language context. It draws on recent frameworks such as the three-dimensional engagement model by Troll, as applied in Andriani et al. In 2022, which categorized engagement into behavioral, emotional, and also cognitive domain. Next slide, please. So we jump into the so we jump into the chapter 2 theoretical framework. So there are several of the theoretical framework. So I just explaining about the third one. Okay, the motivation and engagement in blended English language learning. The framework consists of four interrelated areas. The first one is three-dimensional student engagement framework. Technology supported motivation in blended learning. The third one is student autonomy and blended learning. So the fourth one is about the blended learning as a pathway to collaborative. And the fifth one is the digital tool drive engagement and personalization. The sixth one is cognitive emotional behavioral engagement model enhanced by WhatsApp integration. And the seventh one is motivation-based learning, blended learning, student perception in junior high context. And the last one is about motivation and learning outcomes in blended learning. The first one is about three-dimensional student engagement framework by Andriani et al. In 2022, the three-dimensional student engagement frameworks offers a comprehensive lens for analyzing student engagement within blended learning environments. This framework categorizes engagement into three key dimensions: behavioral, emotional, and cognitive. And the second one is about technology supported motivation in blended learning by Abdillah and Sueb in 2022. The work by Abdillah and Sueb in 2022 emphasized that student motivation in post-pandemic blended classroom is influenced by a combination of extrinsic and intrinsic factors, both of which are supported by thoughtfully designed blended learning environment. So the third one is about student autonomy and blended learning by McCone in 2020. In her doctoral research, McCone said that explores how blended learning environments support the development of student autonomy, which she identifies as a key motivational factor in education. Although her study did not find a direct connection between technology use and student motivation, it did highlight the importance of the learning environment in fostering autonomy. Okay. Next slide, please. So here we are the research methodology. Wait a minute. Where is it? Okay. So research methodology. The first one, research design, we use a qualitative research approach to evaluate student motivation and involvement in blended English language learning. Qualitative research is well suited for studying human behavior, emotion, and also experience in game. So for the participant, we use and also use survey. So the participant in this study comprised of 25 undergraduate students from the 2022 cohort of the English Education Department at Universitas Sultan Hasanuddin Yayasan. For the research instrument, the primary research instrument used in the study is a semi-structured interview guide designed to allow for an in-depth exploration of student motivation and engagement within blended English language learning. And also, this approach maintains consistency across core teams while offering the flexibility to pursue follow-up questions. And for the data collection procedure, data collecting we will take down over a 4 week period. Participant will be contacted through institutional communication methods, and also interview will be performed either face to face or using online like a Zoom or Gmeet. So for the data analysis technique, the data from this study were analyzed using a contemporary thematic analysis approach, which is widely used in qualitative research to interpret meaning from student narrative and also experiences. So for the trustworthiness of the research, to ensure the quality and credibility of the findings, the study applied updated trustworthiness standard commonly used in recent qualitative educational research from 2020 and from 2020 to 2025. To begin with, credibility was achieved through data triangulation and member checking. Next slide, please. So here we are. What we find about the data findings. The first one is about student motivation in blended learning. The second one is about emotional safety and confidence building, and the third one is about student engagement in online and offline modes, and the fourth is challenges and passive behavior in blended environments, and the last one is about impact of delivery models and classroom environment. So I will explain in just one point. So here we are the student motivation in blended learning. The participant in this study expressed that the flexibility and autonomy provided by blended learning significantly enhanced their motivation to learn English. Many students report that feeling more in control of their study routines, especially when they were able to access material anytime and at their own pace. Next one is about discussion. So here we had our discussion, what we finding and also what we get, and we more deeply explaining and research. The first one is about perception of motivation in blended learning and engagement pattern and the relationship to motivation, technology's role in language development, emotional safety, and confidence in blended learning. And the last one is about perceived challenges and disengagement triggers. So the first one is about what we are. Wait a minute. So the first one is talk about their perception about their perception of motivation and blended learning. The findings reveal that student motivation factors and student perceive flexibility as a major source of internal drive. To begin with, many participants expressed that being able to choose when and how to study increased their sense of autonomy and discipline. The support by Pence and Fuse in 2021 arguments that flexibility and learning environment foster intrinsic motivation and goal processes. So, so we jump into the conclusion one. So, what is the conclusion about our research is, wait a minute, where is it? The oceans, like, yeah, okay. Hey. What is about our conclusion is this study explored that the perception of undergraduate EFL students regarding their motivation and engagement in blended English learning program at Universitas Utama Jaya. The findings reveal that students feel more motivated when flexibility was balanced with structural autonomous learning opportunities such as video lesson and pronunciation apps enhanced instruction motivation, while deadline and instruction provided extrinsic support. And also digital tools were seen not merely as a content delivery platform, but as active partner in language development, helping students gain confidence and improve skills through private practice. Emotional safety, particularly in online environment, lowered anxiety, and encourage participant as well as among shy learners. And these findings suggest that effective blended learning requires a thoughtful combination of flexibility, interaction, timely feedback, and emotional support for the instructor and institution. This means designing purposeful digital tasks, maintaining instructor presence, and providing robust infrastructure. So I think that's it from me. I think that's it from group 11. So thank you. I will return back to the moderator. Thank you. So yeah, thank you so much for Group 11. Thank you so much for your explaining about your whole paper. So now we jump into the question and answer about the whole paper, about our group from Group 9 into Group 12. So if you have question, you can ask to them. You can ask what question from group, for example, so I will ask about something else to the group, to the group health. So I will say the question and also what you answer for from group 9. So if you have question and answer, you can ask them. Thank you. So ya, so nama hari ini.
Okay, thank you, moderator, for the change. I have a question for group 9. So, what step would you take in future studies to overcome the limitation that you have mentioned before? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Savannah, for your questions. I will discuss first.
Ya, for Ailsa.
Okay, thank you. So I want to ask to Savannah's group. So the question is, what challenges related to digital literacy were faced by Untirta? Thank you.
So ya, Lela tuh.
Okay, I want to ask for group 10 for Danu. So the question is, In what way can AI translation tools support vocabulary learning more effectively than traditional dictionaries? Thank you.
If you are ready to answer the question, you can you can raise your hand and I will call you. Thank Yes, Lutfia Fahira.
I will answer Ilsa's questions. So, student at University Sultan Ageng Ketayasa face several challenges that related to digital literacy, including the difficulty of online learning platforms, limited skill in essential tools such as video apps and digital file management. Many students lack of confidence in handling technical the issue or effectively using features such as discussion forums, assignment uploads, and collaborative tools. This lack of digital competence often lead to frustration, anxiety, reduced participation, and disengagement from the online learning process. So that's it for the answer. Is that any question, Ailsa?
It's enough. Thank you.
I would like to answer the question from the Laila too. That in what ways can AI translation tools support vocabulary learning more effectively than traditional dictionaries? And the answer is AI translation tools can provide contextual examples, synonyms, and usage info sentences, which traditional dictionaries may not always offer. Unlike static word definitions, AI tools like ChatGPT can explain meanings and in simpler language, generated multiple usage scenarios, and adapt responses based on learners' needs. This helps learners remember new words better through meaningful and repeated exposure in different contexts. I think that's the answer for the question. Is it enough?
Yeah, is it clear? Thank you, Danu.
Thank you for the question.
Yes, Alif Fahab Kapani.
Alright, I will answer Sopana's questions. What steps would you take in future studies to overcome the limitations mentioned? So my answer is future studies should include a larger and more diverse sample from multiple departments and age groups. Longitudinal methods should also be used to evaluate the long-term impact of game-based learning. And then to overcome limitations in future studies, several steps can be taken. For the first is using a mixed methods approach will provide both depth qualitative and breadth quantitative in understanding students' perceptions, allowing results to be more comprehensive and generalizable. And the second one is expanding the sample size and diversity beyond one department or academic cohort will improve the representations of findings. And then the third one is incorporating interviews or focus group discussions alongside open-ended questionnaires can yield richer data and allow researchers to probe deeper into students' response. And the last one is conducting longitudinal studies. It's help examine how perception of game-based learning evolve over time, thus offering insights into its long-term impact on motivation and learning outcomes. Maybe that's all. Is it enough, Sofana?
Clear enough, Oliva. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your question. I return back to moderator.
All right, thank you. Is there any question again that you wanna ask about the performance and also the the whole paper? Is it enough? No, I think it is enough. So we jump into the last session. The last part is about the certificate of the presenter and also the certificate of the of who's present right now. Okay, so wait a minute. So I will share screen about it. So I will just show the certificate of presenters. So untuk sertifikasi dari para peserta akan menyusul nanti ya. So wait a minute. Is my share screen is visible? Right? Yes. Oh, here we are. Is my share screen visible, guys? So yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this is about the certificate penghargaan presenter dan for our group from group 9, group 10, group 11, also group 12. So for the certificate for the untuk para peserta yang hadir akan menyusul nanti. So mungkin hanya ini saja yang bisa saya tampilkan. Untuk nantinya akan menyusul. Okay. So, wait a minute. So we jump into the last session is about the closing statement and also closing part. So thank you everyone from group 9, 10, 11 and also group 12 for your explaining, also joining about this seminar, and hope all of you in a good condition right now. Hope all of you in a good sleep. So thank you everyone. I think that's it. That's enough from all of us. Thank you everyone. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Salam
Thank you.
warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.